Live. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Nicole and I head up the marketing team at UserGuest. This is our Revenue Booster series where we share practical tips on how to boost hotel revenue via the direct channel. Joining me today, we have my colleague and co-host, Sabina. Hi, Sabina. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Nicole. Thank you. Very good to be here again for our Revenue Booster series. I'm Sabina. I'm a marketing strategist at UserGuest. I've been with the company almost since the very beginning, and hopefully today we'll bring you some practical tips and we'll discuss some of the psychology behind the guest conversion.
Excellent. Lovely to have you with us, Sabina. Also joining us today is one of our partners from Franco Grasso, represented by Massimiliano. Hi, Massimiliano. Nice to have you with us today.
Yeah, hi Nicole. Hi Nicole. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Excited to be here. I've been working with Franco Grasso revenue management company for almost 10 years now, and before doing that, I worked in the hotel and cruise sector as a receptionist, concierge, revenue manager. So I have a background in the hospitality. With Franco Grasso, basically we help hotels optimize their results through the implementation of a mix of activities related to pricing, distribution, optimization of online channels, and ranking. And yeah, we have more than 2,000 hotels worldwide in all 5 continents. Personally, now I'm in charge of following the development of our revenue management system that is based on AI and machine learning. It learned from human revenue managers, experienced human revenue managers. It's ranked in the top 5 RMSs on Hotel Tech Report. And yeah, it's basically me in a nutshell.
And a great track record. Well, it's lovely to have you both in today's session. So thank you for being part of the session today. Before we dive into the topic, I just want to remind a few quick reminders. So the first one is, don't worry about taking notes. We'll share the recording with you afterwards. And also feel free to ask us questions during the session. We'll answer them towards the end of the discussion. You can just use the chat below, and we'll try and answer those towards the end, if that's okay. So to kick off today's topic, when a potential guest is looking to make a hotel reservation, one of two things happens. They either get pushed towards confirming their booking on your direct channel, or worst of all, they'll move to a competitor or move to an OTA. So hoteliers want to avoid these scenarios, obviously, but what are the things that we can really do to optimize the booking funnel to increase that revenue and maximize that revenue? And also, how do we understand, some of the triggers behind what would make a visitor actually book with you and turn into a paying guest? So what are the psychological triggers that would make them click that button, the Book Now button? So let's get started. Savina, there are a few simple but very powerful strategies that we can use to fine-tune the direct booking channel, and obviously grow revenue at the same time, right? So can you talk to us a little bit about what those psychological factors are that can influence a guest's decision to click that Book Now button, and also what would stop them from doing that?
Yeah, of course. So when looking at the booking funnel and the conversion of a user on the website, I think we have to look at 2 elements. The first is the technological side, and the other one is the marketing side. And I think they're both related also to the psychology that happens behind scenes. So when we're talking about the technological side, I think it's very important that your website loads fast enough. We all know how frustrating it is to wait for something to load, for the website to look a little bit broken or untrustworthy. So definitely looking at those technical elements is very, very crucial and important. Again, I would say a little bit more on the technical side, just the structure of the website and how easy it is to find information on the website that is relevant to the user. So again, here we come more into the psychology. So let's say if a solo traveler lands on your website and they see a family offer, they may not be that inclined to make a reservation. They would maybe think that this isn't the right hotel for them. So knowing your guests and knowing what kind of offer is relevant for them and making it easy for them to actually make the reservation, this is very, very important. Then if we look more on the marketing side of things, there are psychological triggers that have been used in hospitality and also, yeah, our airlines or OTAs. And these are, for example, some urgency kind of triggers. So limited time offers, for example, seeing a timer that tells you, hey, this offer expires in a few hours or next tomorrow. So you really need to make that decision quickly in order to take advantage of this offer. So these are some of the elements that you need to be looking at. Additionally, also social proof, for example, proves to be very important for decision making when we talk about psychology. So seeing that, oh, okay, there's also other people looking at this hotel website, there's other people booking. This adds credibility to the website, especially if you're a brand that's not so familiar for this particular guest. These are things that you need to be optimizing. And then, of course, you just need to make sure that the experience is both personalized, but also flawless from a technical point of side of things. They see the right offer at the right time. They go to the next step. They find the dates that they're looking for. If you don't have availability, maybe you're suggesting the next available date so that you don't lose this booking. And the entire time communicating why booking directly with you is the best decision, whether that's with price comparison widgets that you can implement on the website and also on the booking engine, or just displaying the direct booking benefits throughout the booking process. I think these are the key elements.
Yes, lots to think about. You mentioned the price comparison widget there, and I want to pick up on that. So obviously price is a huge factor, as we know, but it's not the only one, as you've just mentioned. So Massimiliano, for you, how does pricing perception impact a booking decision? I mean, what are some of the strategies that hotels can really use to create a sense of urgency in their direct channels?
Yeah, sure. I think when from a revenue management perspective, when we talk about pricing perception, it's important that prices are perceived as fair and transparent. So when I say fair, of course, I mean that they are aligned with the market demand. When you say, of course, apply the right price at the right time, and so on. When I say, of course, transparent, I mean that they should convey what they really include in terms of, for example, taxes, breakfast, and other amenities, and even those things that we would take for granted, like, for example, Wi-Fi or air conditioning, but it's not so granted sometimes. And so transparency is in this sense, because nobody wants bad surprises, of course. When it comes to the urgency, I totally quote what Savina said. This is, I think, basically where revenue management can draw some lessons from marketing. For example, yeah, Savina said some examples, but the principle of scarcity, of course. When we say only one room left on this website, and this is something that OTAs have mastered quite well, but this is something that actually even can be implemented quite easily, even on the website, of course, on the direct channel. And when we say, for example, only one room left, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the last room available. It can just mean it's basically last room available at a given price, which is something that airlines do quite regularly. And to push, of course, bookers to finalize the booking just means, okay, now you find this price, but it's the last seat for the alliance, so hurry up, otherwise the next time you come back on the website, you will find a higher price. And that's a great trigger, of course. And as Savina said, even mentioning the fact that the date is in high demand, or I don't know, for example, 5 visitors are currently looking at the property, so you have to hurry up because the availability is limited, and maybe 20 bookings have been materialized in the last 24 hours. So yeah, I think these are some tricks that can be easily implemented even on the direct channel to create this sense of urgency. Yeah.
Thank you for highlighting those. And I think you mentioned something really important there. OTAs are experts at all of these things we're talking about. And hoteliers need to become experts at this as well if they want to improve their direct distribution channel. So there are some barriers, common barriers that prevent guests from completing a booking on the direct channel. We know this. Savina, how can hotels eliminate them?
Yeah, some of the barriers we already kind of touched upon. So, for example, I mentioned not having availability for the dates that the guests are looking to book. Something that you can do is automatically suggest the next available dates or the next weekend. So this is something that you can do. Another thing is thinking about really the experience from a user perspective. So from the moment they land on the website, and then throughout the entire process. A mistake that I've seen, for example, on the booking engine is for hotels to list, instead of listing the room types with the different rates, they're listing the rates, and then this is just confusing for the guests. They can't find the room that they're looking for. All of a sudden, they're seeing things from maybe a revenue perspective, but not really from a user experience perspective. Other mistake that I've seen and that I think also contributes to bounce rates or abandoning the bookings is the not clearly displaying policies, cancellation policies, what's included in the price. And then, of course, as we already mentioned, and I think Massimiliano also spoke about this, really making sure to clearly display what's included. So the transparency is very, very important. And yeah, just making sure that you understand your market, you understand their booking behavior, you know what's attractive for them, and making this offer very easily available, bookable, and yeah, just going in that direction. I think this is a good start.
Yeah, I mean, all of those things are very helpful. Just touching on what Massimiliano said, sometimes consumers assume things, right? Sometimes they see a rate and they think, oh, it's a great rate, and they book that, and they assume that breakfast is included. They assume that Wi-Fi is included. I mean, it happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I booked a hotel at a great rate, and when I arrived there was no breakfast included, and I was actually really upset and disappointed. So these are small things that we need to think about from the consumer's point of view when we plan these strategies and implement them on our direct channels. Massimiliano, when you spoke about rates and prices, you spoke about scarcity, being transparent, being fair. So how can hotels really apply something that we know is known as dynamic pricing to their strategies to optimize their revenue and make sure that when a guest is booking, they understand everything that they'll be receiving, given that price?
Yeah, just to follow up with even what Savina said, of course, it's critical to apply the right price at the right moment, because that's one of the main barrier. If they find a price that is totally out of market, of course they won't finalize the booking, and then make the process really seamless. So avoid requiring a lot of information and fields and forms to basically fill in, and there is usually the standard of 3 clicks, before finalizing the booking. I would say also, avoiding some mistakes like redirecting to another or page where they have to finalize the booking, or if, for example, even providing a variety in options of payment, which is something that OTAs are doing quite well. Then, in terms of dynamic pricing, I would say that it's important to understand the psychology of guests. But in order to do that, you have to understand the segmentation, of course. So once you analyze the segmentation, so who the typical clients are for your hotels, then you can craft a proper strategy when it comes to pricing, because of course there are a lot of segments. There can be in terms of nationalities, in terms of demographics, there are couples, families, solo travelers, and they all have different patterns, which is reflected in a different pricing approach. And of course, we have to make sure that we do not alienate, guests when it comes to prices. And to do that, of course, we need to make sure that we gradually adjust prices when we see the demand is materializing, that we do not make drastic changes that can shock the market, because only when you proceed gradually with small changes, of course I'm talking about upwards changes in pricing, then you can taste the market and you can understand if those prices are well perceived, if they are in line with the quality, and until a point where you basically find the so-called resistance rate. That's where basically it's the price where the flow of bookings stop, or you start getting some cancellations. And so it's important to monitor the pickups and the demand frequently, and also analyze the reputation, because the reputation tells you a lot of information, and especially the subcategory of value for money, because the value for money score is a very important category, and it tells you if your prices are aligned with the service, okay, and the perception of quality. And usually we find that some hotels that might have a very high score, general score, but the quality, the value for money score is much lower. So that is an indication for us that probably we need some tweaks, in pricing, especially in some periods. Yeah.
So that sounds all very complex, if I'm honest. Obviously, I come from the marketing side. So for me, I kind of think, wow, that's a lot to think about. But there are revenue managers that do all of this manually still in hotels. But tools like you have, they combine, the human side of understanding these concepts and then apply them through technology. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, we developed an in-house revenue management system that is built on the artificial intelligence and machine learning. The peculiarity is that it learned from the experience of human revenue managers that have worked with us, but it constantly learns from the behavior of human beings, and it's of course the technology can help a lot in this case, can assist the revenue managers in crossing a lot of data, and they can do that much faster, of course, than what the revenue managers do manually. So they can cross a lot of data in terms of historical data, forward-looking data, events, weather, and they allow you to make some decisions much faster, and of course, as long as there are also integrations between all the tech tools, and it's definitely a life changer for revenue managers. So it's really hard to keep doing revenue management manually with Excel,
Spreadsheets.
Excel spreadsheets. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it is life-changing. I'm sure it is. So sometimes when some hoteliers hear the word revenue management, they think it's all about lowering prices. Is that a myth? Is that true? Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
No, it's definitely true, and it's yeah, I've heard that.
And
Yeah.
how can that impact a hotel's profitability? Is it, in a positive way or a negative way? What happens when that is the thinking, really, that is what revenue management does?
Yeah, that's the typical complaint and misconception from hoteliers, that they say, yeah, revenue management is just about lowering prices,
Mm-hmm.
simplifying the entire concept in this phrase. But here the key is to understand what the adjectives low and high really mean, because at the end of the day, they just reflect some psychological and emotional uh, misconceptions and fears that hoteliers have, that really doesn't have has nothing to do with the economic factors, because they sometimes say, okay, I don't want to sell below a certain price, because otherwise I will attract, some low quality clientele. But actually, we know that that it's not the prices that determine the quality of a client, but it's their characters, of course. And what we really know is that when, from an economic point of view, as long as you cover your variable costs, and the variable costs are the costs that the hotel incurs when the room is occupied. So the amenities, the cleaning and the housekeeping service and material, the commissions, breakfast, and as long as you cover those variable costs and you sell your rooms at a price that is above those variable costs, then of course you have generated a margin, and you can use that margin to cover your fixed cost, or even to make some profit in low season. But most importantly, you are creating some commercial conditions that will help you generate will help you get more reviews, because of
Mm-hmm.
course, if you have some guests, you have the chances of getting some reviews, so you can increase your visibility on the land channels, so your reputation. And when you improve your visibility, then of course you have the chance of selling at much higher rates in high season. So it's a virtuous circle. And what I find is that sometimes those hoteliers that are afraid of low prices, they're also afraid of high prices. So they think they cannot sell above a certain threshold, because they think that the rooms, the quality of the rooms does not justify certain prices. But we know that at the end of the day, it's the market that dictates really what is low, what is high. It's not the psychological and subjective perception of the hotelier. And of course, in both cases, this has an impact on profitability because when you think your prices are too low and you don't want to go below a certain level, maybe you risk having a room empty, which is in that case definitely a loss of money when you have an empty room. But some hotelier says, okay, I prefer to have the room empty, which doesn't make sense sometimes. And but even in a season when you can sell at very high rates, you selling at very high rate and generating incremental revenue. Yes.
Thank
So
you. Yeah, no, that was great. I think some things you touched on there, which I think Savina, I'd like your comments on this as well. So availability and occupancy, which Massimiliano touched on there. How can we really leverage those and make sure that we're maximizing those through the direct channel? Is that possible?
Yeah, of course, this is a very tricky balance that every hotelier needs to achieve, selling the rooms at the right rate, which is, of course, this falls under the revenue management. But also from a marketing perspective, the offers that you're promoting and the offers that you can offer guests, they need to be based on your availability. So let's say Easter is coming up right now. Normally people book for Easter a little bit longer in advance, let's say around 1-2 months even. It's families who need to plan ahead. So normally by this time you should already have a pretty clear idea of where your occupancy for Easter is going. However, now if 2 weeks before you see that your occupancy is still pretty low, you can have a special offer on your website that is pushing a lower rate. But as Massimiliano mentioned, maybe it's better to sell at a lower rate than actually having the room empty. Plus, maybe you'll get some repeat guests later on, and you'll actually make a lot more revenue than initially you thought you would. So that's one way. And the other way is really treating every user on your website differently and with personalized experience. So for example, if you see that someone has been to the website more than once or twice, they're probably interested to book, but maybe the price is not right for them. As some of you know, with user guest, you can display notification on the website that targets specifically a person who has been to the website multiple times. You can set up that threshold. And you can offer a small discount with a special promo code, or once again, highlight maybe a special benefit that doesn't cost you that much, but at the end is going to secure that reservation. So I think these are some of the strategies that you can apply.
Yeah, that's great. So there is a real synergy between marketing strategies and revenue management in the direct channel. And there are some hotels that are great examples of, optimizing their booking funnel and achieving great results by combining, marketing strategies and revenue strategies in the direct channel. We actually have an example that we're going to share today. If Savina, do you want to tell us a little bit about this hotel that we're going to be sharing today?
Yes, of course. So this is one of our joint clients with Franco Grasso, the Rorotongan collection. So these are beautiful properties located in the Cook Islands. We work with 3 hotels specifically. One is a family resort, others 2 are adult only hotels, really gorgeous, as you can see from the picture here, stunning location. They have over water bungalows, they have amazing facilities, and also opportunity to go snorkeling. If you like marine life, this is definitely the place to be. So yeah, gorgeous hotels. We at User Guest have been working with them since October 2022, and we have seen a steady increase in their performance, and we're very, very lucky to have them as a client.
Wonderful. Massimiliano Francograsso are lucky enough to look after this beautiful group of hotels from a rev management perspective. Do you want to share a little bit some of the needs and goals that this hotel group had when they joined you?
Yeah, sure. We started working with these resorts in mid 2023. And yeah, basically, we have to consider that it was the period of post-COVID pent-up demand. So, of course, almost everywhere in the world, there was a sort of change, a shift in demand, and the demand turned out to be very, very dynamic. And while the properties already had great results, of course, there were still some margins to improve because, of course, there was margin to be more dynamic in pricing adjustments and more regular in pricing adjustments because the demand was very, very dynamic. And another key factor here was to define and elaborate a tailor-made approach for each type of property, because as Savina said, some properties were more couple-oriented, let's say so, and others more family-oriented. And I would say even it has been critical to adopt a tailor-made approach when it comes to room types, because they had like different room types, which basically are different products. So there are some bungalows with a beachside view or beachfront view, and so each product has a different demand that requires an independent and personalized and tailor-made approach, pricing wise. Even, for example, like was mentioned by Savina, the overwater bungalows, which is quite unique product in the islands. So basically, a room type where you go out of the door and you can just jump into the water. And so that type of product required a dedicated approach. And then, of course, I would say it has been critical to collaborate with their in-house marketing team and also with the user guests to make sure that, of course, the synergy between revenue management and marketing could deliver excellent results when crafting some specific offers, very attractive offers at the right prices, of course. So basically, the combination of the revenue management and marketing, and yeah, the results have been quite impressive because 2024 the incremental occupancy was plus 6%, and we recorded an incremental ADR of 15%. Which result in an incremental RevPAR of 24%. So the overall results were great. So the impact on bottom line and top line were great, but of course, this synergy has also produced some good, excellent results, I would say, in the direct channels. But I think probably Savina can further elaborate on that.
See here that yeah, you've also compared Q1 this year to last. We still see the growth, so I think great job on the revenue side of things, and of course marketing has probably supported this as well. It's great to see the results. On our side, we implemented a few different strategies for this hotel group. I'll share with you some of them. So I'll share examples of notifications that these hotels have used and that you can also use that have some psychological triggers for your website visitors. So in this example, this is a welcome pop-up that the hotel has set up with user guests. They're communicating their exclusive package. So this is something that's not available on OTAs. It's only bookable through the website. It gives you a special 15% discount when you apply a promo code. And as you can see, it also has a timer. So the offer expires slowly hour by hour. So again, it's adding this little bit of urgency that we discussed, that it's very important to push that user to actually make the reservation and stop browsing around. So I think this is a great example. Another thing that I think it's good from a user experience perspective is this promo code. Whenever they click on the Book Now button on the notification, it's automatically applied. So you're not adding a step for them to remember the code, to look for the field for the promo code. It's automatically there, and they can just book this. We're decreasing steps and friction in the booking process from the moment they land on the website. Another example of a notification that they're using is the price comparison. Again, we've talked about the synergy between revenue management and marketing. So this is another example. You have the right pricing, and then however you need to also communicate it in the best possible way. With user guests, you can display this on the hotel website. So immediately upon landing on the website, the user knows they don't have to go and check on Booking. They don't have to go and check on Expedia. They always will get the best rate. Additionally, you have the option to display certain booking benefits that are not available again on these platforms. So as you can see here, they have free breakfast, free snorkeling. So things that are completely exclusive to the direct bookings. Additionally, with our price comparison, you can also choose to add additional discounts. So you can always show a rate that is lower than the OTAs. Of course, that depends on revenue strategy, marketing strategy, but it is available for you to apply. And I think it's a good way to secure those direct reservations. Another notification, we spoke briefly about this, is the returning visitors. So whenever someone's coming back to the website, you can see here the personalization of the experience. Imagine you've been to this website before and a notification pops up that says, hey, welcome back. We know you've been checking us out. So you immediately have a more personal experience. Additionally, you're getting this exclusive offer that is specifically for you. And also, again, the urgency, the timer. You have a few hours left to make that decision, to maybe talk to your spouse and, and complete the booking. So another great notification that's delivered very good results for these properties. Another example is the exit pop-up. So we spoke about, again, the psychology, improving the booking experience. The exit pop-up, as the name implies, shows up only when you're already trying to leave the website. So this is a great opportunity to personalize the experience. So in the text, you can say, we're sad to see you go, or before you leave, did you see this offer, in case they haven't seen it on the let's say on the homepage, maybe they're already on the booking engine and they're trying to, they've decided to leave. This is another chance for you to convert this user, to give them a special offer, to make sure that maybe they haven't applied the promo code before. So this is a great opportunity to apply this promo code. We also have exit pop-ups that have a field where the user can fill in their email address, and then they go into your CRM. So another way to optimize the exit pop-up is by building your database, and then later on you can send those special offers that are specifically for people who have signed up. So I think the exit pop-ups, they're one of our best performing notifications. And you have a great way to also showcase the property with the image that you can customize, of course, based on every single hotel and an offer that you have. These are some of the results that we've achieved. So this is for Q1. 59% of all bookings for these hotels came from the notifications. That means that someone has clicked on them, on the Book Now button, and then they have moved on to complete the reservation. So great result. And in terms of revenue, all the bookings generated have potentially saved over 300,000 New Zealand dollars to these properties because they generated these bookings directly on the website. If they have gone to a third party, to OTA, they would have lost these 300,000. So very happy to share these results with you today.
Yeah, so those are really impressive results, both from the revenue management side, but of course also the marketing strategy side that we can see in place there. So a question for you, Savina. So it's great to see all of those notifications, and it's also great to see that all of the psychological triggers that we've mentioned are already included in those, those features. So do we have to apply all of it? Does the hotel have to apply all of them in one go? How does that work? Can they, apply them based on, their strategy or based on how things are going from a revenue side point of view? How does that work?
I think every hotel needs they're unique, so you have to apply them based on those needs. So, for example, if you have the right pricing, number of bookings, but maybe you would like to push length of stay, you can either push a long stay offer, or we have notifications that push the person to add an extra room at a special rate during the checkout process. So this is a great strategy for hotels that are struggling with this specific problem. If you're struggling with bookings, advanced bookings, then maybe you can apply a completely different strategy, use some of our notifications. We have some hotels have the concern that they don't want too many notifications on the hotel website at the same time, and I can understand that concern. And you can be strategic. So another great option, which limits this kind of overwhelming feeling, is that the notifications can be displayed based on different targeting options. So, for example, your local market can see one offer and one notification versus someone who's visiting, let's say, if you're a European hotel, someone visiting from the States will see a completely different offer. Again, you need to think strategically about also just the marketing offers that you have for different markets. We also have targeting options based on where is this person coming from. Are they coming from your Instagram account? Are they coming from an organic Google search? So you can display different notifications based on that criteria. So a good example that I like to give is if someone just saw an Instagram story with a special offer that you're pushing, it's good practice to, when they go to the hotel website, to see the same offer. So you make sure that the experience is basically matches. So these are some of the strategies, and no, you don't have to apply all notifications at the same time. You can test and see what works for your hotel based on what you need at the moment.
Wonderful. Massimiliano, so What about from a revenue management point of view? Do you also take into account, is it important to take into account, and adapt strategies and pricing and things like that based on local guest behavior, the expectations, the market that you're in, the type of hotel and type of room categories that you're trying to push? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned at the beginning, the first thing is to have a clear idea of the segmentation in terms of type of guests. So whether it is a more family-oriented resort, or in terms of nationalities, if it works with, let's say, long-haul travelers or short-haul travelers, because the segmentation has an impact on the pricing decisions that you're going to make. Just to give an example, of course, well, in this case, we are talking about some island resorts. As we know, the island hotels are more reliant on the airline factor. So this has an impact also in the booking window, of course. And generally speaking, for example, when you get fully booked 1 month in advance, in some cases it can be a mistake because probably it might suggest that your prices haven't been so dynamic, and so you have filled up too quickly, and probably you could have sold at much higher rates. But in some other cases, probably when you get fully booked in advance, it's totally normal, and it's the right approach, because of course you are reliant on these type of factors like airlines. And or for example, let's think of luxury hotels. So they might have some type of travelers that want to arrange everything very much in advance, okay, because they want to organize everything. And since they are not really sensitive to prices, they might want to, and they need, of course, to use the planes to reach a destination. They might want to book the seats in premium classes quite well in advance. And this, of course, can be reflected in a pattern in the booking window. And so you have to be aware of these patterns, because this will drive your pricing decisions. And so you might be noticed that probably with some type of luxury hotels, you might have a certain type of booking window and so on. So yeah, just to wrap it up, it's critical to understand at the beginning the segmentation of the clientele. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is definitely key, is understanding your clientele, and understanding how to apply all of these things that we've mentioned today, both from a revenue point of view, revenue management point of view, and also from a marketing strategies point of view, how to adapt the the message that you want to put out there. It's not always, as you say, it's not just always about the price. It's not always about lowering prices or increasing prices, but it's also about how you convey that message and the different triggers that you use to make sure that they move through the booking funnel. So I'm just conscious of time. This has been a great session. I don't see any questions coming in, but I do want to just ask you each one last question. So probably for you first, Sabina, if hotels could make just one small change or one key change that would improve their conversion rates, what could it be?
I would look at, as I mentioned before, I would look at the user experience. So making sure that the guest can see a clear call to action from the moment that they land on the website. So whether that's with the user guest notification showing a special offer, or just having a very clearly displayed offers section on the website, a very clear book now button, and then simplifying the user experience as much as possible on the booking engine. This is something that I would recommend as a first step to improve your conversion rate on the website.
Yes, that book now button, very important. How about you, Massimiliano? What would be the one key change to improve conversion rates from a revenue management point of view?
Yeah, I would say, pay attention to cancellation policies, because I think this is one of the most underestimated factors. Of course, when we think of revenue management, the first thing that comes to mind is prices, of course, and it's normal. But cancellation policies are really underestimated, and the idea is that if demand and offer, of course, are variable over time, and therefore the prices are variable over time to reflect this situation, I think even cancellation policies should be dynamic in this sense. And so it should be normal to apply a more restrictive policy in high season and very much more flexible policy in low season. And this is, of course, a trigger that could boost the conversion. And even if you think of OTAs, for example, they implemented even this sort of filter, the free cancellation, to basically narrow down the results in the searches. And so think of a property that's a very restrictive policy with a penalty window. So the window where the room becomes non-refundable, very long, so like 7 days or 14 days. If a guest searches for a room in that time frame, closer to the check-in date, and clicks on the filter free cancellation, basically the property disappears from the radar, because it's already in the no refundability window, so the penalty window. And even if you have a great price, great offer, but if you are not visible, or if you disappear from the searches, from the results, then it's totally useless. And finally, I would say also in general, keep experimenting, do a lot of test experiments, because when you're open to try new things, and you monitor, of course, the results over a given time frame, can be 1 week, 1 month, then you're in the position to achieve excellent results.
Thank you. And I would like to use that segue just to say that those are great tips. Thank you very much to both of you. We are really happy that you joined us in today's session. I hope you found that this was a useful session for you and that you gained some tips and some insights to help you remove the friction from your direct booking funnel and to turn more of your visitors, your hotel website visitors, into actually paying guests. If you'd like to sign up or follow UserGuest and Franco Grasso, please do so via LinkedIn or sign up to our newsletters on our websites. And stay tuned for more insights and more tips in the future. It was great to have you with us both today, Sabina and Massimiliano.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. It was a pleasure.
Thank you both.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the next session.